another loop is called inner or nested loops we can call. The process of defining one loop inside of another loop is called a nested loop. What is the next one is what? For the execution process of the execution process of the execution process of inner loops is that for every value of outer loop, for every value of what? Outer loop, inner loop executed, inner loop executed for a finite number of times, for a finite number of times, for a finite number of times, repeatedly, for a executed repeatedly for a finite number of times, like that I like, for a finite number of times until inner loop condition becomes false. Inner loop test condition, inner loop test condition becomes, inner loop test condition becomes false. This is the execution process. So the execution process of inner loops is that for every value of outer loop, inner loop executed, inner loop executed repeatedly for a finite number of times until inner loop condition becomes false. And this is the execution flow. In simple word, if inner loop is executed, if we go to the time complexities, very important. Actually, it is a part of DSA, data structures, you might be knowing that. If we want to take one for loop execution, 6 times, you have to represent as what? Order of 6. Order of 6. That order of 6 is one of the notation. That 6, whether you can take it as milliseconds, or you take it as minutes, or seconds, or hours, whatever it is. Order of, in general, it is a 6. In general, if you write n, it will repeat order of n. Now here, students, if you take this example, this is going to be taken what? N times is executing. This is also executing n more times, n more m times. Total executing what? Mn times. M is also, if you take it as n, it is taken as what? N square times. It is the order of time complexity can be represented as what? Order of n square. Order of n square. There's a notation actually. So that n square can be in terms of minutes, in terms of seconds, or whatever it is. Time complexity decided based on the iteration process of the loops. So here, students, I hope you are following me. The conclusion is this loop 5 times into what? 3 times here, 5 into 3, 15 times is getting executed. That is just like a order of n square, like it is known as what, 15 times it is getting executed. I hope you are following me. So this is called what? The looping concept. This is known as what? For loop in for loop. For loop in for loop. While loop in while loop also I want to define. So you understand. While loop in while loop I want to display. How do you display? I is equal to 1. I'm writing I is equal to 1. Next I am writing here while I am writing I less than or equal to 5. I less than or equal to 5. Print of what? I. Print of I. There I will write next what? Inner loop I will define. Inner loop concept I will define. Inner loop is called what? J is equal to 1. I will write it what? While J less than or equal to 3. I will write it here, indentation symbol. Print of J, I will write it. J is equal to J plus 1. I will write it here, else part I am writing. In else part, what I am doing? In else part, what I am doing? I am incrementing I value. I is equal to I plus 1. Why I is equal to I plus 1? Because it will go to outer loop. There I am writing printer. Out of inner loop, I will write it. So a print of out of out of which loop? Inner loop. Inner loop I am writing. Out of inner loop I am writing. There I am going to write it. There one more else I am writing. One more else I am writing. What is that else? Here I am writing. There I am saying again. Print of what? Out of what? Outer loop. Out of outer loop I am going to write it. This is the flow, students. If you just look into this area, here only the loop is repeated. Here only the loop is repeated. This is comes under inner loop of while loop. This is the inner loop. So there is boxes and then arrow symbols will make you to understand correct picture of how this is going to be. So here it is going to be from here it is going to where from here it is going to where outer loop. So you try to follow and this is going to be like this. So students, I hope you got it and this is comes under the looping mechanism, how it works. This is the fourth level part we are in. Start even fifth level part also I want to execute. Start the flow. This itself is more than enough to understand the things. Start. First it will come to where, don't waste your time. All of you start. I value, I value here, 1 less than or equal to 5, true, printing 1, and go to j is equal to 1, j less than or equal to 3, print j, j is equal to j plus 1, 1, where it is going, inner loop, j value less than or equal to 3, it is a true, 2 less than or equal to 3, true, the print j, 2 is printed, j is equal to j plus 1, 3, 3 less than or equal to 3, true, printing 3, and then executing j is equal to j plus 1, it is called 4, 4 less than or equal to 3, it is called false, false. It is coming out of the inner loop, go to else, increase the I value, and out of inner loop, go to the outer loop. I value how much? 2. It was incremented as a 2, incremented as a 2, 2, start printing the I value 2, j value again 1, j less than or equal to 3, 1 less than or equal to 3, true, print the 1, j is equal to j plus 1, it is called 2, 2 less than or equal to 3, print 2, j is equal to j plus 1, it is called 3, 3 less than or equal to 3, true, print 3, j plus 1, 4, 4 less than or equal to 3, false, coming out of the inner loop, I is equal to I plus 1, it is called 3, go to the outer loop, this is printing what, 3, j is equal to 1 again, again it is going to be repeated for how many times, 3 times, 3 times, j is equal to j plus 1, 4, 4 less than or equal to 3, false, come out of the inner loop, I plus 1 is called what, 4, 4, it is going to be called 4, 4 is printed, j is called 1, repeated for 3 times, repeated for 3 times, and j is equal to j plus 1 is called what, 4, 4, 4 less than or equal to 3, false, coming out of the inner loop, I plus 1 is called what, 5, 5, go to the outer loop, 5 less than or equal to 5, true, print of 5, print of 5, j is 1 again, repeated for how many times? 3 times. This is printed 1, 2, 3. I plus 1, 6. You're on 4. Take your bag and go to home. Out of inner loop, go to this place. It is 6 less than or equal to 5. False. Come out of that and executes this value called what? Out of this. This is called inner loop as well as what? Inner while loop. Inner while loop here. This is known as inner while loop. And the next is called what? Outer while loop. This is called outer while loop. So I'm writing outer while loop. I am writing. I think students, you are understanding inner while loop and outer while loop, how it is useful. So I can say in Python programming, in Python programming, we can use inner loops, inner loops in 4 ways. In 4 ways, they are number one. So I will write one by one, syntax number one, approach number one, I will take it. So here, carefully try to follow. 4 ways I'm going to show you. What are the 4 ways I'm going to show? Look into this now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. This is called what? Syntax number one. Syntax number one. What is the syntax number one? For loop in for loop. For loop in for loop. This is syntax number one. Syntax number one. There I am going to write it. Come on, now I am going to write it. Syntax. This is called approach number one. Syntax I am going to take. For variable name one in iterable object. Iterable object. This is known as what loop? Outer loop it is known as. There I am going to write some block of statements. There I am going to write for variable name 2, variable name 2 in where iterable object, iterable object colon. This is called inner loop. Inner loop it is. There I am going to write it. There I am going to write it. Another inner block of statements. There I am writing else part, else block of statements for inner loop. That is the else block of statements for inner loop. There I am writing, here I am going to write it. Else part I am writing for else block of outer else, else block statements. This is related to what? Inner loop related. I'll show the example also for it. Similarly, I'll go for what? While loop also I will take it. Since you have seen the example, that's why I'm writing here. Programmatic example I'm going to show you. While loop. What are the syntax here? Some sort of initialization. While test condition one, test condition one. I'll take some block of statements. I'll take some block of statements. There I will write one more while loop. Test condition two. Test condition 2. There I will write another block of statements. Another block of statements. Here I am writing else part. Here I will write this part. Here I wrote it. Here I am going to enter into the else part. I am going to write it. So I hope students, you are following this discussion. You are following this discussion. Are you able to follow? While this one, another while loop, this condition you are mentioning. This is about syntax number 2. Let me go to the syntax number 3 is there. Syntax number 4 is also there. After this coding is completed, I'll go for one more kind of thing that you need to fill up, that I'm not going to say anything. You need to go for it. Let's go for loop in for loop. Most important thing. Go to the PyCharm. Online students, respond. Is it clear up to here before going to the coding? So let us go to the place. Here I will say, there I'm going to take up loops here. Understood? So let us close this entire things. So talking about this area, there I'm talking inner loop example 1.py. Inner loop example 1.py. So there I'm going to write it. Program for demonstrating demonstrating loop in loop called what? Inner loops. Okay, there I'm taking students for I in range of what? 1 comma 6. There I will write it students. There I'm writing students. One small thing I'm writing 50. There I would like to write it. Print a value of I. Value of I. Here I will write it outer loop under. Outer loop. Outer loop. Value of I is equal to dot format of I. Dot format of I. Close. So there I'm going to write it inside of that for j in range of 1 comma what? 4. 1 comma 4. Print of what? Inner loop. Inner loop. Value of what? J. Value of j is equal to dot format of what? J. Okay. Else part I'm writing. In the else part I'm going to write it. I'm printing that. Here I would like to write it. Some small backslash t I will write it. Here I'm writing out of what? out of which loop? Inner loop, inner loop. So out of inner loop, I am writing here else. Also, I'm going to take a, here I'm going to write it. One small closing line I want to write it for inner loop is concerned. So I want to write it like that. Here also I want to write it like that. This I'm going to write it. This is going to be outer loop, out of outer loop. So try to see the logic. Already you have seen the logic and output also you can understand, students. Try to run it and see this output, students. Left side of the screen you observe it very perfectly. Systematically the output is there. Outer loop value is 1. For the number 1, what are the values are printed? 1, 2, 3. Out of which loop? Going to where? What is the value of I? For that value, inner loop values are what again? 1, 2, 3. Again, after out of inner loop, going to where? Outer loop. Value of I is how much? And what is the value of that? 1, 2, 3. What is the value of outer loop again? 4. Again 1, 2, 3. And again going to be the out of inner loop, outer loop value. Done. And out of each loop also. Yes, this is a subject of what? How the loops are repeated. Online students, the same example, I'll go for with what? While in while. This is known as what, for in for, correct? For in for loop. For in for loop. Similarly, I want to show you while loop in while loop I will take up. While loop in while loop. So here I'm going to write it. For loop example 2.py. Inner loop example 2.py. I would like to carry this entire thing. I would like to paste it here. 2.py. 2.py. There I'm going to write it. While loop, while in while loop. So in place of that, simply I is equal to 1. Here I would like to write simply what I'm writing, while I less than or equal to 5. That's all. So J, here also I will do what, students? J is equal to 1. I will write it what? J while J less than or equal to, while J less than or equal to 3. 3. And the J value to be incremented. J is equal to J plus 1 out of inner loop. And before this, I need to increment I plus 1. You can write it I is equal to I plus 1 even here also. The moment after printing I can write I is equal to I plus 1. There also you can write it. No need to write under this else part only. Students need to take care. Same output will be coming here also. Same output will be coming here also. 1 for that 1, 1, 2, 3. Out of inner loop going to outer loop 2, 1, 2, 3. Out of inner loop going to outer loop again 3, 1, 2, 3. Outer loop I value printing here. Out of loop 5 and then printing here. This is out of which loop? Outer loop is coming. This is known as what? While loop in while loop. Students, you already seen it. For loop and then for loop. You have seen while loop and then while loop you have seen. What is the next pair you are expecting? For loop in while loop in for loop. This is also another kind of statements you can prepare. So go to the place. Here I am going to write it. Syntax number 3 is what? Come on. For loop in, for loop in while loop, while loop. What is an outer loop here? For huh? For loop in where? While loop. English also don't know. So while loop is an outer, for loop is the inner. So these are all problems with you. So not careful enough. So here I'm trying to take up, put it across. While loop I will write it. One inner loop, this is one I will remove and I will bring this data. This part I will bring it. This part I will bring it. In this place, I will try to write it. So here I wrote it. For loop here, I write it. For loop, inner loop. This is known as what here, outer loop. This is outer loop. This is for every value of outer loop, inner loop repeated multiple times. This I'll show the example. Syntax number 4 is what? while loop in for loop. What is an outer loop here? For loop. What is an inner loop? Simply, I will bring the first one into this. Simply, first one I will bring here. And inside of this inner one, I will write this inner loop statement. Coming to the syntax number 4, here I will write it. This is comes under which loop here? Inner loop, we can go for it. So let us write the code for that. I'll go to this place. Once again, inner loop. This is while loop. In while loop you have written. So I'll take it as inner loop example 3.py. 3.py I'm taking 3.py. So there I would like to take it 3.py. There I would like to carry this entire thing. What I'm going to do, same thing, I'll try to bring it. So what is our looping now? Third one I said what? Third one I said for loop in while loop. So I'll go to this place. I'll carry this entire statement and I'll put it across. 3.py, 3.py, for loop in while loop. I'll require this same thing. Like this I want to. Today I'm looking like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But for this I'm looking for 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Not 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1 I'm looking for. 1, 2, 3 only. I'm looking for 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. So there I will write it. In this place, I would like to bring this for loop. This for loop, I will bring it. This part, I will bring it. What I do here is, this complete part I will remove. This complete part I will remove. And I'll paste that. For j is equal to, I will write 3, comma 0, comma -1. Inner loop value here. And when it is out of that, I need to increment I plus 1 here. So this is printed what loop here? Inner loop. This is called inner loop. And this is the one is called outer loop. This is outer loop. This is. So this is the one I want to go for it. So this inner loop will print what? 3, 2, 1. And outer loop will print what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Carefully try to follow. See the output of it. Very perfect. This is a 1 and 3, 2, 1. Out of inner loop. Go to outer loop. It is a 1. It is printed 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Again it is called 3. 3, 2, 1. Again 4. 3, 2, 1. Again 5. 3, 2, 1. Done. This is related to which loop? For loop in while loop. Suppose if you want any kind of above one also in reverse order. Above one also in reverse order. What should I do? 5 I will take it. Greater than or equal to 1 I will take up. Greater than or equal to 1 I will take up. What should I do now? I minus 1 I will write it. I minus 1 I will write it. This is going to print completely 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5. This is called 5, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next is called what? 3, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 3, 2, 1. This is called one more kind of inner loop. Able to understand? Next, I am going to the another approach called syntax number 4. While loop in for loop, I want to go for it. Let me go to the fourth. Every skeleton, I am going to show an example. After that, still more examples will be given. 4, and I will go to this 5. This is called 4.py. I will carry this first one. I'll carry the first one. I'll put it across 4.py. 4.py. While loop in for loop, I am taking. Then for loop is an outer. As it is, you keep it. And I will write one inner loop. I will bring it. Inner loop, I will bring it. So this is the one I'm going to bring it. So this inner loop you remove. And I'm trying to write I. This is done. No need to do this kind of stuff. And J value done. Start here. This is called which loop? Outer loop. And this is known as what? Inner loop. Inner loop this is. See carefully. Start the flow. Here outer loop I. Inner loop J. So printing also same thing. If you want to print the earlier one, I need to say what? 5, comma 0, comma -1. What about this? Let it be this is 1, 2, 3. If you want. So how do you display? This is the same thing. I can go for it. So see happily 5 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. If you are interested to go like that, 3, I can say 3 greater than or equal to what? 1, 1. And I will write it what? J minus 1. And that's all. So J is equal to 3. Go to the place. Here I am going to write it 5, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, again 1, 3, 2, 1. I hope you are getting me. This is about the concept of what? Looping concept. I hope you understood all different examples. Online students, is it clear for everybody? Is this model is clear for everybody? Now, so we understood this mechanism. Later, now I'm entering into one more discussion in the class. Okay, for models, this is a inner loops concept. Now open your notebook, write a Python program, write a Python program, write a Python program, which will generate, which will generate 1 to n multiplication tables, 1 to n number of multiplication tables, 1 to n multiplication tables, where n is a positive integer value, where n is a positive integer value, where n is the positive integer value, where n is the positive integer value. So let's move to the further. So this, let me keep it. So I'll go to the place. In the loops only I will save it in this place. Done. Now students, what that logic says? Look at what our logic here says. Very simple. Multiplication tables for n numbers. N numbers. So I'm going to take up n. Enter. Here I want like this. Enter how many multiplication tables you want. How many multiplication tables you want? 5. 5. What I need? I want like this. What is that? Multiplication table for one. Multiplication table for one. There I am going to take up. What is that? You try to look at. What I want to display. This is called what? 1. Or otherwise, if you don't understand, I will take like this. Like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who will display? 1 for loop. 1 for loop. For that 1, I want what? 1 into 1 is equal to 1. 1 into 1 is equal to 1. I want to display what, students? 1 into 2 is equal to 2. Like that, I want to display as what? 1 into 10 is equal to 10. This is done by what? This is done by one for loop. This is done by what? One more for loop it will do. Are you following me? So this is called 2. What is this 2? 2 into 1 is equal to 2. Next I am going to take up 2 into 2 is equal to 2 into 2 is equal to 4. Now I am going to take it 2 into 3 is equal to 6. Like that I want to display 2 into 10 is equal to 20. Like this I want to go for generating. Like this I want to go for generating. Like that I will go for it. So who will display 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? One for loop. Who will display the multiplication table? One more for loop. So I'm using what? Nested loops I'm using it. It's a logic is understandable. So that understanding logics is called intelligence. I'll go for inner loop example 5.py. Anything you can use. While loop in while loop you want, for loop in for loop also if you want, no problem. 5.py. So 5.py. So here I'm writing 5.py. So program for, I'm writing here program for generating multiplication tables for n numbers, n numbers, where n is positive, where n is positive. There I am writing n is equal to int of input of enter. So I'm going to write it input of enter how many multiplication tables you want. Multiplication tables you want. There I'm writing. If n less than or equal to 0, any negative number or something, I'll write it is invalid input. Is invalid input. Dot the format of what? N I will take it. Else I'm taking else. There I'm going to write the logic. If my number of multiplication tables are 5, I want to take up. What is that? For n, for number in where the range of 1 comma n plus 1. This is known as which loop? Outer loop. Outer loop will do what? Supply the number. Supply the num for generating the multiplication table. There I am writing print of. I am going to take up like that. Print of multiplication table for. I'll write it like that. Format of what? Format of what? N. Format of n. So there I am going to write it. Format of n. There I would like to write it. How do I write this now? For j in range of 1 comma 11. What is this is called? Inner loop. Generates MUL table for the number supplied by outer loop. Supplied by outer loop. Very, very important. Supplied by outer loop. Okay. How do you display? Print of backslash t number value, I value is equal to resultant value. Format of NUM comma. NUM is the value coming from the outer. And the next is called what? I comma. What is that? NUM into I. NUM into I. So I hope that J now or I. No problem. I or J are no problem. Indentation symbol I need to write it. I hope you are following me. In else part, I will write this type of line. Closing line, I wrote it. Beautiful. This is known as inner loop. This is known as outer loop. Outer loop will supply the number. Inner loop will supply this number. Are you following? Simple. See how easy it is to understand. See, students, 2020 calendar. 2020 calendar. 2020 is a number. For the 12 months calendar is there. 2021 calendar year. In that again 12 months are there. 2022 is called what? Another year. This is having 12 months calendar. 2023 another calendar year. 12 months is there. 2024 is a calendar year. There are 12 months are there. Who will display the calendar years? Outer for loop. Who will display the calendar months? That's all. Simple. Very, very easy. Let us run this. Asking. Enter how many multiplication tables you want. 5. Beautiful. Came. See that. How many multiplication table? Of course, something went wrong there. Multiplication table for NUM. Yes. NUM. Enter 5. Perfect. See that. Multiplication table for 1. Multiplication table for 2, multiplication table for 3, multiplication table for 5, like this. I want to print. I want to print. In childhood days, you have multiplication table book. So there I will write 20 tables I want. 20 tables. Who will display 1 to 20? Outer loop. Who will display the multiplication tables? That's all. Finished. All the table values we got it. All the table values we got it. From the beginning of the 1, we got it 1 onwards, 2 got it, 3 got it, 4 got it, 5 got it, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the values we got it. I hope that it is more clear about what? Multiplication table for all the values. Is it clear? So done. This is about multiplication table for this many. Next I want to go for, write down next one more. Write a Python program write a Python program which will read, which will read, which will read n number of dynamic integer values, n number of dynamic integer values, n number of dynamic integer values from keyboard, from keyboard, and display their multiplication tables, and display their multiplication tables, and display their multiplication tables. So what is this example says? What the first one says? What is the example which I said on that? Is a sequence 1 to 20. But I need what? 16th table, 17th table, 9th table, 14th table, 19th table. Like whatever the tables I want that. That is called what? Random multiplication table numbers. So you must know about first what? How to read the values you must know. I want to read random dynamic values. Random dynamic values I want. 6.py. 6.py I want to go for it. Let me carry this question once and then I will start. Here I'm going to write it. Here I'm going to write it. Coming to the point back, here I'm going to write it. So here I'm going to take up. In this place I'm going to write it. Program for generating multiplication table for n random numbers. N random numbers. Where n is called what? Positive. It is called 6.py. What I will do? I will ask you the question here. Enter how many multiplication tables you want. Enter how many multiplication tables you want. So I'll go to this place. If enter how many multiplication tables you want. Suppose 5. I will take this 5. So now I need to write enter what? I need to take what? N random number values I need to take it. So what should I do? I'm reading the values. For I in range of 1 comma n plus 1, n plus 1, I will say num is equal to int of input of enter, enter number, enter number, and format of I, I. There I need to write it. There I will go for creating one list is equal to like this. Creating an empty list. Creating an empty list. For what? Holding this value. How do I write it? lst dot append of num. Append of num. Coming to this else part, print of what? Given numbers. Given numbers is equal to dot format of lst. This is what I am going to write it. Print of I took like this. Try to run this example once and say something like 5. I say 11. I say minus 12. I say 14. I say 19. I say some 0. This is my given data. Out of those negative numbers, no multiplication table. 0 also no multiplication table. But other positive numbers only I want to give the multiplication table. How to write that? That is an important. Are you following me? So this is my given data. For example, if you take a sample data, here it is called LST, take it like this. Now I want to write the code for multiplication tables. So first you need to do what? Select the value from this place or not? Select the value from this. How do you select the value? For num in where? LST. For num in LST. What the value of num is printed? Num is printed 11. These values will be printed. So I'll write it. I'll run my code. I'll say something like 5, 11, minus 12, 14, minus 5, and then say 0. These are the values we got it. Out of that, 11, okay, take it, generate it. 12, don't display. 14, display. 5, minus 5, don't display. 0, don't display. What to do now? I'm going to write my condition there. What is that? If num less than or equal to 0, what do you say? If you want, you can continue that. If you want to say invalid input, and then you say like this. What I say here? is invalid input, is invalid input. I can say not the format of, I can write it what, NUM, and say what, continue, continue, and I need to write it. After that, it is going to the loop. Even if you don't write continue also, no problem, no problem. Even if you write simply write what, else. What is my first number? 11. 11 less than or equal to 0. 11 less than or equal to 0. False. Go to where? Else part. In the else part, I will do what? Print of. Yeah, I will take some line. I'll take some line 50, and I'm writing here what, for, or I will write print of multiplication table for, I'll say like this, dot format of NUM, and I will write it this line closing, this line closing. There I am writing for I in a range of 1 comma 11, 1 comma 11. This is known as inner loop. This is inner loop. This is known as outer loop. This is known as outer loop. Outer loop supply the number. In the outer loop, I am checking whether the number is invalid or not. If it is invalid, you say invalid input. If it is a valid, send to inner loop. There I will print my logic. What is my logic? Backslash t. Number into the value is equal to the product of it. Product of what? NUM comma I comma NUM star I. There I will write it. Else part I am going to write it. Else part I am going to write it. Print of this data. So got it. This is called what? Inner loop multiplication. Outer loop supplies the number. So try to go for this now. Try to enter 5. Say some 11 minus 12 and say some 19, some 0 and say some 14 and say some 14 and see the output, students. What is happening? Multiplication table for 11, got it. Multiplication 12 is called invalid, and at 19 got it. 0 is invalid input. 14 I got the output. Random number multiplication tables. Got it? So happy. Suppose you don't want to see the invalid number value at all. Say simply what? Pass. Simply say pass. Say some value called what? Some 6. Say some 11, minus 12, 19, 1, 0, 15, and say something like minus 4. So what is happening? It is going to give you valid data only. 11, 12, no discussion at all. 12 is ignored. 19 next. Next is called what? 0, not coming. 15 is coming. That's all. That is called pass related. So pass related. So you are going to write it. If you want, you can write pass. If you want, you can write like that. If you want, you can write. If you don't want to write it, you can say simply what? Continue, you can say. See, these many ways. 4, say some 12, say minus 11, say 19, 1, 0. So see that I got it, 12 I got it, minus 11 just continued, 19 I got it, 0, nothing is there. This is about what? Many ways and means. Whichever way you want, you can take it, students. So this is a print and then done. So once you have very good hairstyle, once you have very good hair on the head, you can do good coding. Not physical hair, programming knowledge I'm talking. On top of your head, you have good knowledge, you can write the code anyway. That's called I'm comparing with your hairstyle. If no hairstyle on your head, there is no programming knowledge in your head, ring road, bypass road only you are. It's a regular dialogue I am saying in the class. Try to remember that. And what you are you ring road? Are you handsome to do maintaining different hairstyle? You decide. Ring road, bypass road. On a subject on the subject is there or ring road, bypass road? Subject. Raise your hands. Who is having subject? Who is having subject? Just I want to see your face once. Who is having subject? Hmm? Who is having subject? Manoj has raised a hand. See, Manoj raised a hand. Okay, good. 2 members. Usha. Okay, good. 2 people. Ashok Kumar has raised a hand. Rupa has raised a hand. Hmm? Okay, now everybody is raising the hand. Now offline students are thinking, if you sit in front of the sir, you will come to know how it is a danger. You are thinking like that. Okay, students, anyhow, I'm really appreciating those who are feeling confident about that and coming to the point back. Now I'll go to the one more. Open the notes, write a Python program, write a Python program, which will accept, which will accept, which will accept, which will accept list of values, list of numerical integer values, list of numerical integer values, which will take care of, which will read list of integer values and decide whether they are prime or not. Decide they are prime or not, and display the prime numbers. Right? Display the prime numbers. Display the prime numbers and display the prime numbers. Again, I will repeat. Accept the list of values. Accept the list of values and display the prime numbers from them. So two programs I want to tell you. One difficult one I am doing. One easiest one I am going to do. Are you following me? So what I am going to accept? Some list of values I will accept it. How do I accept the list of values? Already this code was written or not? Up to here the same code or not? Accepting values is concerned same only. 7.py. See on certain topic how many examples? Average example, below average example, more than average example, all these things. So I will carry this case students. I'll bring it and I will remove this entire thing. Up to here only I will keep it. Remaining things you remove students. Here program for getting, program for obtaining, program for obtaining list of primes from list of numbers, list of numbers. Come on, enter how many numbers you want. Enter how many numbers you want. Enter how many numbers you want. Enter how many numbers you want that you are taking and creating an empty list and you are adding it. That's nice. Go for that, keeping it aside. Try to run it once. I say the number of values called 5. So 10, 13, 13, 17. And I will say what now? Something like, 1. I'll say what now? 2 I will enter. These are the list of numbers. So I read the list of numbers. Already prime number logic you have seen. That is called input today. As a simple problem. I'm giving that simple part into complex part. Say some 5. I'm saying what? 4, 5, 9, 7, 2, 2, 2. I'm entering. This is my given data. This is my given data. This part you try to take it. This part you try to take it. Here I'm going to take it. This is my given values available. This is my given values available. Already we have seen about prime number logic. Already you know now. Prime number logic already you know. That prime number logic I am going to continue. And by adding one more, who will supply these numbers? Who will supply these numbers? Outer loop. Inner loop will decide whether it is a prime or not. So I'm going to write it for, come on, NUM in where? LST. So this is known as which one? Outer loop. Supply the value. Supply the value. It will supply the value generally. That number, whatever is supplied to the inner loop decide whether it is a prime or not. Already we have done prime number logic, if you remember it. So I'm going to decide what is the logic decision here. If NUM less than or equal to 1, if anything is there, What is that? It is called what? Is invalid input. Prime number starts from where? 2 onwards. Prime number starts from where? 2 onwards. Now I'm writing that. Now I'm coming to else part. So if any number is less than or equal to 1, I'll say invalid input. Suppose I'm having 1 here. It is called what input? Invalid input. Suppose if it is a 4, if it is a 4, definitely 4 less than or equal to 1 is called false. Coming to else part. In the else part, I will write the prime number logic. If you have already done the prime number logic, already you practiced it, now it is easy. If you did not practice, if you did not do anything, if you come to the class now, definitely it is hard for you. So education is very easy to get the job is also very easy. Within 20 to 23 years, you have to be settled in the life as a life story. Still people are learning these days, 32 years, 35 years, still they are learners only because of that problems. So let us go to the for. Before that, I am writing RES is equal to what I am doing. I am writing here called true and for I in the range of 2 comma NUM. 2 comma NUM. Whatever the number is coming, that number I am taking. I am checking from where. When you take that number which is supplied by the for loop, I am not checking with 1 and num. I am not checking with 1 and num. I am checking from where? 2 to num minus 1. So 2 to num means 2 to num minus 1. That is the logic. If NUM if NUM percent I is equal to 0, I will just say what RES is equal to false and I will mention it as a break. Once you say break, it will come out of the corresponding loop only. It won't come out of the total loop. So this is known as what? Inner loop. So break makes the PVM to come out to come out of hmm, to come out of which loop? To come out of which loop? Inner loop. Inner loop. Once it is coming out of the inner loop, I will write a decision over there. What is that? If true, if RES, simply I will write RES. If simply RES, I'll print that num. I'll print the num. What is that? Backslash T. I'll write dot format of what that number is called that. And not prime, I am not printing at all. Here I will write it print of list of primes. List of primes. I'll simply say that under the list of primes, this num will be printed. If RES is true, I will print. If it is a false, it is not a prime number. Are you able to follow? And this part I am going to take care in this case. Out of that, I'm keeping like this. Let's run this now. Let's say here something like 5. I say 10 and 11 and say 13. I say something like 1. I say some 2. Got it. What are the list of primes are printed? 11, 13, 2. 1 is what? Invalid input. Of course, I wrote it invalid input here. Invalid input is printed. In place of printing that, you can simply say what? Simply say remove that. If you want to simply say what? Pass. But if you want to see pure output like that, if you want to look into that, try to run the data, say something like 5, say some 10, 11, and some 2, and 1, and then 17, or something 14, you say. I got a list of primes, 11 and 2 are the primes. And that too, I don't want to print the list of primes. I want to write the list of primes on the top of it. It is printing every time. It is printing every time. Where I want to print it. In this place, I want to print it. Let us run this code. Say here, I'll say some 10, I'll say some number called what 2 and 15, and say some 7, and say some 9, and say some 15, and 1, and minus 2, and say some 13, say 13, and say something like 3, and I'll say like this, and say something like 23. So got it? List of primes from the given numbers are this one. Are you following that? This is called what? List of primes of these random numbers. This is a subject. If you want, you can add. If you want to print a list of primes separately, you can say instead of printing, you take it primes list, PS list, you take it. PS you can take like this. You can take PS is equal to some empty. You take it here if you are interested, very much interested. If you are, you go for that. You say what here, what your PS dot append of what NUM. After coming out of everything, what you will do, you can take it as what? After completion of all the loops is concerned, you can come out of that else part of this outer one. You can say print of what is this? Prime numbers. Prime numbers. I can print what here? PS. PS. Try to run it. Say here 10. I say 2. And say 5 minus 4, 12, 9, 15, say 0, 1, and then say 15, or some 13, and say some 17, like this. Prime numbers are what? 2, 3, 13, like this. So it is your own thing, students. It is your own thing. Once you have very good hairstyle, you can do anything. If no hairstyle, no comb required, nothing is required, just out of order. That's why the more you practice, the more you will get the subject. Coding, to get the software job, you need what? Coding skills. Only coding skills will be blessing for you. Without coding, you are not suitable for anywhere. Are you following? If you want, you can take this style, or if you want earlier style also, you can take it. Okay now? So you want to, shall I keep it as it is like this? Right. This is the one. Now I'll give one homework for you. If you want to do it, you do it. Otherwise, I'll type it in the class immediately. Write down. Write a Python program. Write a Python program. Krishna saying, see Krishna saying something. Krishna L. Knowing coding. No coding, no life. KNOW. No coding, no life. No coding, no life. He's a beautiful student. He's a beautiful student. He is saying all the things now. So he is like writing like this. So that realization is important. So this is what you need. Only for saying no, you have to do that. You have to do that. Implementation is important. Yeah. Write a Python program. Write a Python program which will display, which will display list of prime numbers, which will display list of prime numbers, list of prime numbers within the given, within the range, within the range, within the range, within the range. Suppose if I say 10, 10, 10, what are the prime numbers? 2, 3, 5, 7. Example asked. Range n, example, hint you write it. Hint is, range is equal to 10. Range is 10. Primes within 10, within 10. What is that? 2, 3, 5, 7. Like that. You need to print. I hope it is easy. What is the for loop? For I in range of 1 to 10. 1 to n plus 1. What is the inner for loop? For j in range of 2 comma n. 2 comma n. Another way. See. For, this is the one. For n in range of what? 1 comma, or otherwise you take it. For one number is coming in range of what? 1 comma what? N plus 1. N plus 1 means what? 10. 10. 1 to what? 10 plus 1. 11. 1 to 11 means 1 to 10. Suppose if I enter 11, 1 to 11 plus 1 is called 12, because 11 also will be the output or not. So num is coming. What is the next for loop? For I in a range of 2 comma NUM. 2 comma. No, not 1 comma. Why? Prime number I am deciding. Prime number means 2 to number minus 1. 2 and then number minus 1. 1 I don't want to check. Given number, I don't want to check. Simple. NUM percent of I is equal to 0. Simply say what RES is equal to false and say what break. Before that, I need to write it what here? RES is equal to true. Once you say break, it is coming out of the inner loop. Coming out of the inner loop. Here I will write it if RES. I will happily print that number. NUM I will print. What is the num? Num is called true, no? Only that number I will print it. Now that number is called prime. If it is false, number will not print and it will go to the outer loop again. Myself only said the code now. This only you need to write it. Okay, now. Easy or difficult? So what concept it is? What we learn today? Loop in loop. What you learn? Loop in loop. So next, tomorrow I will go for another level. I will tell you another level. Beyond this level, I will go for it. Beyond this level, I will go for it. So how to do that? Tomorrow also, I'll discuss this inner loops only. Inner loops related total concepts, I will use it once again. Total concept I will use once again. So carefully follow, practice this example, come to the tomorrow class. Thank you. All the best. Carry on. Online students, if any doubts are there, you hold on. I'll discuss with you.